So we are really pleased to have Tamar here, who's coming all the way from Japan. So yeah, I feel for you because for us it's a shorter.
It's been 2 days.
But originally you are from Georgia. So even more international, and you bring all this. And I think you have a background in prehistoric archaeology, is that right?
Yes, and World Heritage Studies.
And World Heritage Studies as PhD. She's working in this Asia Pacific Center for UNESCO. Which is impressive also, looking at your website, the amount of training that you do. And then, always, again, back to my lectures, I always show Japan and the approach they have to things about listing people as well as buildings. So understanding that the crafts is fundamental. So it's to have the building, but to have the people that understand how to deal with this building. So I'll leave you with Tamar.
Thank you. The organizers, distinguished speakers, online attendees, good morning and great, thank you. Good afternoon. I guess I'm too short, but it's okay. So my name is Tamar Meladze, and I represent Asia Pacific Cultural Center for UNESCO, which is shortened as ACCU. And we're located in Japan's ancient capital, beautiful Nara. And I suppose my senior colleagues, including the director of ACCU, are joining the symposium online. So I would just like to greet them as well. So it is my great pleasure and honor to be here today, and I would like to thank President Christina for inviting ACCU and for giving me the floor to share some of the activities we have in architectural conservation as part of our capacity building programs and training courses in Asia and Pacific, which is a little bit maybe different from European approaches. So just before I start my presentation, I should mention that unlike the research and the educational institutes that are present here, ACCU is not an accreditation institution itself, but rather a hub connecting the heritage practitioners from Japan and abroad for the mutual learning practices. So today I'll be sharing with you some of ACCU's experiences in providing the training, particularly for the conservation of a wooden built heritage. So I just really hope my presentation will fit into the one of the aims and objectives of this symposium. So ACCU as an organization was established in Tokyo first in 1971 with the cooperation of the Japanese government and UNESCO in order to promote cultural exchanges among the various countries, mainly in Asia. And currently, the Tokyo office leads some projects focusing on education. The ACCU Nara office, on the other hand, was created in 1999 with the aim to contribute to human resources development, specifically in cultural heritage protection field in the Asia-Pacific region. And you can see that we are clearly winning with the view. So this is where we're located. This slide. So the funds for the project conduct are provided by the Japanese government. So why Nara, you may ask? Actually, this place was not an arbitrary choice. It's the first capital of Japan, and many cultural traditions have their roots here. Even today, Nara boasts with an impressive number of cultural heritage sites that inherit the knowledge of the ancient craftsmen, builders, and carpenters of not only building, but also preserving these architectural monuments. And as you all know, Nara is also an origin of Nara Document on Authenticity, a powerful declaration that triggered new thoughts on heritage conservation and authenticity. And so at ACCU, we share the values of Nara document through teaching and sharing the skills and knowledge of Japanese experts while maintaining that whether it is a research, repair, or conservation, the approaches and methods shall be based on particular cultural backgrounds, conditions, and available resources of each country and region. So starting from 2000, various training programs related to archaeological and architectural conservation have been organized by ACCU Nara. Our targets are young and mid-career architects, conservators, archaeologists, engineers, craftsmen, site managers, and museum curators from the 44 countries in the Asia-Pacific region, ranging from Iran in the west to the Cook Islands in the east. And 42 among these countries are signatories to the UNESCO World Heritage Convention. So the graph shows the number of participants by region. You can see the largest number of participants we have from Southeast Asia, followed by South Asia, Oceania, and East Asia. By country, Bhutan ranks first with 60 participants, followed by Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Vietnam. So now let me talk more specifically about the training programs that we have. So every year, jointly with the Agency for Cultural Affairs, the Government of Japan, and Japan's National Research Institutes for Cultural Properties, Tokyo and Nara, we organize 4 training courses, 2 of which, the group training course and international symposium, are also supported by ICOMOS. The courses differ in themes, scope, and targeted participants, and are taught by the resource persons on the front lines of heritage preservation in Japan. And so participants learn both from government officials and national level conservation architects, as well as the members of local conservation societies and private companies. All ACCU training programs are free of charge, and the expenses for participants, including the inviting and their stay in Japan, are covered by the organizing bodies. So to address the theme of this symposium, I will focus particularly on the ones related to the architectural conservation. So the group training course is our 1-month intensive training on the subjects of archaeological site management and wooden built heritage conservation and management. And these 2 alternate every year, every second year. Group training course is our biggest program, both in its organization and content, and it brings together 15 young professionals in Japan, which are engaged in the research and protection of cultural heritage in their respective countries. The course on wooden built heritage conservation equip the participants with knowledge and skill-based techniques for survey, recording and documentation, analysis, management, and utilization methods for structures, from their legal protection systems and policies to the hands-on repair and conservation practices. Most importantly, this course strives to connect heritage practitioners from Asia Pacific for establishing the regional networks. Actually, group training course always takes place in September, and today, this morning, was the closing day of our training course. So we closed the training this year as well successfully. Since it's a fresh, like this training is fresh, I will I talk on the examples of this year's program. So the curriculum is made of 5 general units. The lectures persons change, some remain the same, and you may recognize Dr. Kamini and Professor Inaba, who is also a member of ICOMOS CIF, who join the course every year. And it consists of classroom lectures, discussions, site visits, and practical work. For the past 3 years, however, we had to improvise to adjust to the online teaching. In the first unit, participants learn about the international conservation concepts, principles, charters. Every year, we also have very rigorous discussions on the concept of authenticity, how this word is understood in different cultural contexts, and the challenges of conserving wooden structures in relation to this concept. As Christina was mentioning, that the challenge of translating certain conservation terms, and trust me, in Asia and the Pacific, this is even more challenging for us. Unit 2 introduces the types and the characteristics of Japanese wooden architecture, as well as the systems of their protection from the legal system, securing traditional repair methods, handling down the skills to conservation process at the site. And so this unit basically explains the mutual dependence of preservation of buildings and preservation of craftsmanship in Japan. And participants are usually very keen to learn more about the traditional carpentry tools, which are still used in the conservation process in Japan. So units 3 and 4 are usually taught both at class and conservation sites. Recording and documentation requires the participants to conduct the damage and deterioration investigations, structural analysis, survey on previous alterations and restorations, create measured drawings and photographic record of one particular building, for which we usually choose a registered cultural properties for this training. In the unit 4, the participants learn how to make comprehensive judgment of the values of the building, and they eventually develop and plan a disaster, the repair plan and the disaster risk management action plan. So I think one of the biggest appeals of this training is that participants are given unique opportunities to start directly at the World Heritage Sites and take part in conservation works while interacting with the head conservators in charge. So the last unit focuses on management and utilization, under which we have included the community-centered townscape preservation system, cases of adaptive reuse, heritage impact assessment, and the disaster risk management. And well, we find this topic very relevant to the most of the participants who can relate the situation in their own countries and can take a lot of practical knowledge on how to adapt the historical vernacular houses to the modern lifestyle, even make them profitable for the communities without damaging their architectural and cultural values. Since 2000, a total of 326 young heritage professionals from 38 countries have participated in the group training course only. And the ACCU has not terminated the course even during the spread of COVID-19. We hosted the course online 3 times in 2021 and 22. Well, this year as well. Site visits and practical training has always been an important part of our programs, and going online brought new challenges of teaching heritage conservation remotely. Nevertheless, we tried to focus only on the advantages of online learning, and we adapted the curriculum based on pre-recorded video lectures, online meetings, learning platforms, and live stream broadcasts directly from the conservation sites in Japan. And this format was more beneficial for some participants who cannot leave their work or families for the 1 month training in Japan. So I want to show you these pictures. This is a live session that we had just a couple of days ago from one of the repair sites on the grounds of Todaiji World Heritage Site. So we set up the internet connection, cameras, interpretation system for the live broadcast and streamed it through Zoom, while not terminating the conservation process on site. And the participants were able to ask the questions to the supervisor of the work. And this sort of thing was experimental for us as well, but I think it went quite well. So the other training programs organized by ACCU are thematic training course and the regional workshop. And both of these programs are offered to mid-career professionals from one particular country or region and are designed to address particular needs and issues of the group of participants. And these courses are shorter in length, but have more detailed focus on specific aspects of conservation. And we consider these programs as sort of continuation or upgraded level for those who have participated in the previous group training course. The courses aim at assisting with the direct problem solving and are therefore conducted in the native language of the participant countries with the help of the professional interpreters who we hire in different countries. And I think that system really allows all the heritage practitioners, regardless their language skills, to sufficiently benefit from the training programs that we have. And lastly, let me talk about the outcomes and some of the challenges that we face. The biggest outcome of our training courses is lasting relationships and the exchanges with both individual participants as well as the organizations. One of the most exciting parts of ACCU program is that participation does not end with just the completion of one training program. Participants are encouraged to apply for more advanced level of training and eventually act as a counterparts in organizing the capacity building workshops in their own countries. And as part of the follow-ups, every year we appoint several course graduates as ACCU international correspondents to report on their current work and activities. And then we publish their contributions in a journal. And of course, this job is also paid. So in addition, every 5 years, ACCU conducts a survey of past trainings. And during the most recent survey, we had a 30% response rate on the questionnaires, which is a quite long questionnaire. And we confirmed that 96% of the past trainings hold the positions in the heritage protection field, including the ones with the promotion. And we are also considering inviting the former ACCU participants as resource persons in the future upcoming courses to share their personal experiences and viewpoints from the perspective of their own culture traditions. And this brings me to the last concluding part of the presentation. In designing of the curriculums, ACCU's fundamental principle has always been to focus on creating the competence and ability to know, understand, and judge rather than providing guidelines or direct solutions. And part of the discussion, however, has always been who is being taught. When targeting and selecting the participants, there are many aspects that we need to take into the consideration, including the geographical and gender balance, applicants' backgrounds, language skills, and experiences. And while we're trying to balance all this, it's quite easy to lose the focus on designing the curriculums that correspond to the knowledge level of all participants and match at least some parts of their interests and needs. And this is particularly evident in wood conservation course because of the huge diversity of wooden structures and traditions that vary not only from country to country, but also from region to region. And the selection of appropriate repair methods that can suit all wooden buildings universally, even only in Asia-Pacific region, is of course impossible. And there are, of course, some universal principles, but for example, in Japanese architectural monuments, we have post and beam structures that are made entirely of wood, which, if considered necessary, can be dismantled, repaired, and reassembled without damage to the members, while in many Asian countries, stone, brick, rounders are used in combination with timber. And so, depending on the species of wood, climate, tools, human, and financial resources, repair methods also change. So in order to build up the conservation systems, it is best to learn the methods not only in Japan, but also in various other countries, and set the conservation system that is suitable for each country's environment. There is a wood course, which is also offered in Norway, and we're trying to keep in touch as much as possible to sort of balance our programs and training objectives. And this is probably the main message that ACCU would like to convey to its course participants. And I'm really interested in how you build your educational programs in your institutions, and especially the ones that are targeting the international students as well. So this is, for me, symposiums like this open the doors for us to sort of communicate the challenges we face and share some of the best practices that we have gathered in ACCU's 22 years of capacity building activities. If you're interested in either participating in our programs or partnering with us for some joint projects, here's the link to our website and my email just in case. And I will also distribute some of the pamphlets that I brought from Japan. So yeah, thank you very much. And thank you again.
Thanks so much. It was really, really interesting because I was very curious of understanding more. I open first the floor in this case to anyone who want to ask. I think what you say about setting the level right is so important. I think for the international course, probably I will put the first, which is the first. You have this class all coming from these various education countries, beliefs, and how you start telling them anything until you don't create a baseline from which learning can happen. Otherwise, learning doesn't occur. So I think it's one for the Decalogue, definitely one. And then the thing of, buildings next to the skills, and that's the problem. Most of the problem we have is because we don't have the people locally, and then cost a fortune, and then people say historic buildings are terrible, difficult to work on because they don't have the right people working on them. And also this issue of the materiality, because obviously for you, the wooden structures are very important, and then with the issues of climate change, the vulnerability of it. And that's why we have, it's not that timber didn't exist, it's because it's the one that disappeared more quickly. And so that's why I think it becomes for us a more priority that should be at the moment.
Yeah.
I always try to do more about timber, because there is a lot of stone. We need more, it's not that we don't need more, but the timber is always, because it's very difficult, it's a natural material and requires really quite a lot to teach. It's in a way not as you can, I think, teach quicker someone about stone and what to do with stone and to do timber, because you tell them an element and then the next element has different characteristics or have been cut. So, but I wanted to ask you, it's always in Japan, you have this idea, it's always about renewing. It's now with this global more viewing acceptance of a degree of decay in a material that should be conserved, or it's always just the renew?
Well, in Japan too, we put great emphasis on retaining as much as original material as possible. It's not like,
but I mean in the courses, because what you have shown us is more about redoing work, no? In terms of, so you teach them also in terms of consolidation of existing as well?
Or
yeah.
So we the analysis of degradation, how is it possible to stop the degradation, and also what other methods can we implement to sort of, maintain the timber buildings on daily basis, because we don't really have a set principle as we can have in stone conservation. It's very difficult because the environment differs in the region.
Yeah.
So yeah, based on some Japanese examples, they can pick up some, this can fit to my conservation system. That can be, so they can pick up some aspects of conservation which they can then bring to their own countries and implement. So that's where it's trying to focus on. So yeah, daily based maintenance, I guess, is what we are putting the big emphasis on.
Thanks so much. Thanks again.
Thanks so much.